All right, it's 6 o'clock. I want to welcome everybody to City Council meeting for Monday, June the 8th, in our first open assembly, I guess, after the been confined for so many weeks in there. Before we get started, I want to make sure, let the council knows, I can't always see you, Bob and Terry, and most of, I can see people down there, Bob, and some of you, so if you want to speak, when we're getting into discussion, I can see your hand. Please raise it high. Yeah, all right. If we could have a roll call to establish quorum, please, ma'am.
Terry McClung,
Here.
Melissa Green,
Here.
Harry Meyer,
Here.
Susan Harmon. Here. Bob Thomas.
Here.
Becky Schneider.
Here.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, sir.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and to approve and a second. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And get a motion to approve the minutes for May 25th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and second. Any additions, corrections from anyone? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We got a couple of commission appointments. We got Bobby Foster has got an application for the CAPC to be renewed for position 4. Her term will expire the end of this month. If I can get a motion to... Oh, yes, Mickey.
I make a motion that we re-accept Bobby Foster.
I'll second.
Got a motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And then the next one is an application, we got an application for Jean Reed, who's an RN, that's for position 2 for the hospital. I don't know, I think y'all may have just got that this time, so we may want to wait. But we also have an application a reapplication for Michael Mary, who's in position 3. Yes, Ms. Green?
I'll make a motion to renew Michael Mary for position 3.
Second.
Any discussion?
Was that you, Mickey?
All right, all those in favor of Michael Mary for position 3, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Also, just for the general public notice, we do have a position in Parks that's position 7. That's vacant. So if you're interested, come by or check on the internet. I think the applications are available online, so give us a call and we can help you through there. At this time, we got through some public comments that have been received. I will read those, I believe. Let me get the first one here.
Leon? Is he there?
All right, I think Leon's here, if I'm not mistaken. I'd say him over there. Thank you, Leon, for your submittal. East Mountain Drive, this is from Leon Burks, 15 East Mountain Drive. He goes and says, East Mountain Drive is our one of 2 streets connecting Highway 23 and 62. The other is Passion Play Road. East Mountain Drive has no sidewalks or shoulder. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour, which cars routinely exceed. The city council body has responsible to its constituents. Sound judgments, truthfulness, dedication, follow through, and resident safety above all. East Mountain Drive and what's discussion, see Exhibit 1 has 8
Seniors?
seniors and 6 children in 3/10 of a mile where speed is excessive. Conclusion, Councilman Thomas moved from East Mountain Drive because of traffic, of the excess speed of traffic, which endangers his safety. His,
Letter,
what is it?
letter.
Oh, his letter to the, boy, I'm sorry about this, is enclosed,
Police?
Police chief.
police chief is enclosed. East Mountain Drive is used by 590 cars daily. The solution should be simple. Build sidewalks, we pay our taxes and your monthly stipends, or as a less expensive but effective way would be speed tables as used by schools, or in more speed bumps, or start with a radar sign informing drivers of the speed and lower the speed limits. 3 solutions, take your choice, only do not fail to act this time. Okay. And then attached is a letter from Exhibit 1, Bob Thomas, and Thomas Acord, and Exhibit 3. All right.
Kim, would you do next, please? Is Tom Lewis here? Okay. This is a letter from Tom Lewis, 19 East Mountain Drive. City of Eureka Springs, Town Council, Eureka Springs, Arkansas, regarding citizen safety, East Mountain Drive, written June 2nd, 2020. My fellow citizens, I wish to voice my sincere appreciation of the citizens who are in support of creating a safety corridor from the intersection of Van Buren, Highway 62, to Eccles Street, currently identified as East Mountain Drive. I ask for the economical and reasonable reinstallation of the existing speed bumps with an additional speed regulation reducing top speed to 15 miles an hour and the continued effort of our police department to patrol. This will address the state of danger our residents face every day on East Mountain Drive. Respectfully, T.R. Lewis.
All right, Sally Lewis. All right. To the mayor and city council, I'd like to request that speed tables or some form of speed deterrent be replaced on East Mountain to slow traffic there. I've witnessed at least 14 to 15 vehicles a day going far over the speed limit, 25 miles an hour. I really believe the speed should be 15. I've seen cars going at least 50 to 60 miles per hour down our street. This is horribly dangerous because we have 2 families with small children and senior citizens who regularly take walks down the street. There was even an incident of a driver who stopped, ripped up one of the speed bumps we used to have there before the gas lines were replaced, then sped off. Please, please help us protect our residents on our streets. Anytime a precious toddler could be out in the street and be seriously injured or killed. My recommendation is for 2 large speed tables. I believe this is the only way to stop this constant racetrack. Sincerely, Sally Lewis.
Barbara Stanley. I moved to Eureka Springs in March 2018 and noticed immediately how fast vehicles would drive up and down the short distance between Grand Central Hotel and Laundry Spring at the top of the hill. I still have no idea why so many speed on the small stretch of road, but they do every single day at all hours, day and night, and as fast as they possibly can. Since there aren't any handrails along the sidewalk, plus the sidewalk ends before reaching town, I see a lot of people walking in the street as it probably feels safer to them. Tourists walking back and forth from their B&Bs or the Springs have no idea how fast these vehicles round that corner. This is very dangerous, especially after sunset, as the road is very dark from my house up to the spring. I am also afraid that someday one of the speeders will have to swerve to avoid hitting an animal and either crash into my house or fly into the holler. To my knowledge, a speed limit has never been enforced on this street, which is apparently well known. I will be very happy if a speed bump is approved and installed, preferably not directly in front of my house because of the noise factor. It would also be nice if in the future a sidewalk handrail is considered, along with extending the walk all the way into town. But for now, I think a speed bump would help tremendously. Thank you for your consideration. Barbara Stanley.
All right, next is Laura Jo. Is Laura Jo here?
No,
I think council has copies of her letter in their file anyway. All right. I believe that concludes our public comments. Under new business, we got proposed definition changes regarding bed and breakfast from the Planning Commission. Motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
who is that?
Me.
Okay. Thank you.
We have in your packet a short little letter noting what the Planning Commission is wanting to do with the bed and breakfast definition. Is basically, as the letter states, is the phrase "no longer than 30 days per guest," but has been removed. The phrase, quote, "for the purpose of this section, on-site shall be defined as adjoining, i.e. sharing a boundary, and shall not include property separated by a city street, roadways, green space, or alleys," has been removed and is separately defined as below. The following definitions are new and will be inserted alphabetically in Title 14.10.13. 180-day rule waiver. If the business will not be open for more than 180 days, the owner must apply to the Board of Zoning Adjustment for a waiver of the 100-day rule, stating the reason for the waiver and the expected length of time. On-site. Definition of on-site shall be, for the purpose of this section, on-site shall be defined as the parcel boundaries and address approved in the application. Bed and breakfast lodgings in businesses before October 22nd, 2019 shall be considered legally non-conforming for the purpose of the on-site definition only. Okay, any questions? Yes, Ms. Snyder.
Okay, we've gone through this in the past, and it was a big thing, at least one of the times when I was on planning. Under definition for B&B, page 451, where it says lodging and meals are provided, we have had major problems in that regard. A bed and breakfast means a breakfast. We've had this argument so many times, both pro and con. We've had some lodging places say, well, you can't do more than one meal. Others saying they can do as much as they want. Why don't we simply put the wording for at least one meal a day? A minimum of one meal, or a morning-type meal. Since bed and breakfast refers to breakfast or a morning meal, that way we wouldn't have any fights with anybody in regards to how much or how often food can be made, and if an owner, a lodging owner, wants to supply 3 meals, that's their business. But at least by wording it in here, a minimum of 1 meal a day, that should cover all bases and keep further arguments.
At this point, the only thing we're looking at are these two definitions.
Yeah,
Ms. Green?
451.
Ms. Green?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, for Mickey, just how about a meal?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, a minimum of 1.
Okay.
You know, whatever. Yeah, number 451 is where it is, Butch, right there.
Is that a motion?
So the motion is, let's do a proper wording and get this done and over with.
And the wording would be?
A minimum of 1 meal, a morning
How about
meal, whatever
a
you
meal?
guys want.
How about a meal?
A meal, that works.
Okay, you're wanting to make a motion to add to these definitions?
No, to change the wording for the definition on page 451, where it says, for compensation, lodging and meals are provided. That should be compensation,
don't
lodging,
have that.
and 1 meal.
I'm sorry, I don't have. I'm sorry, I did not have.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay, Mr. Thomas, I was reading the back part, pardon me, okay.
The Planning Commission has suggested replacing what is on page 451. So there was no reason at all for us to change what's on 451.
So what did they change it to? Because I never saw them
It's right
change
down
that.
here. They're replacing it with this.
Right, and it still has that.
But you keep referring to what's on page 451, and
Whatever page it's on now, it still says, lodging and meals are provided. I don't care where it's located in there. It still should be specific, a meal. Like I said, we've had this fight, Melissa knows, we've had this fight repeatedly from all different structures of lodgers.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McClung?
I'm confused. I'm sorry. I don't understand what is the matter with the way, what it says, his meals,
Because
or
we've
what,
had the
I
fight
don't remember fighting
before.
about anything either, but
We've had to fight several times that some lodgers were complaining that by a B&B offering 2 or 3 meals, it was unfair to them. That's what started, and this was like 5, 6 years ago. That was that fight. That's why if you simply, and it's happened 2 or 3 times. If you just put a meal, but the owner can still do what they want, at least legally,
Why
it's
don't we
there.
ask Ms. Soleil down there? She's
She's not my,
Can you come up here a little bit and,
I think there's some confusion.
Yeah, that wasn't even part of the changes that they're asking.
Thank you. On what
Right.
this
Yes,
is,
it
on
is.
what this is about.
Oh, dear.
This doesn't have anything to do with meals. Just a second, let me put this down. This has to do with the fact that the language on page 417 is totally different than the language on 451. On 417, it says the owner of the bed and breakfast or boarding house shall certify in the application that the owner or a resident manager shall occupy the premises at all times. On page 451, it says a dwelling or area containing one or more structures, at least one of which is occupied by an owner or manager on site, where for compensation, lodging and meals are provided, generally no longer than 30 days per guest, but not more than 5 units. For the purpose of this section, on-site shall be defined as adjoining, i.e. sharing a boundary, and shall not include properties separated by a street, roadway, green space, or alley. These should not be different. We have a lady with a B&B that she lives across the street. We have another B&B where they have moved out of town. The unit is behind the house. They're renting it as an Airbnb. All we're asking is that we have one definition to read, a dwelling or area containing one or more structures of at least one is which occupied by an owner or manager on site where for compensation, lodging and meals are provided, generally not more than 5 units. The applicant and/or property owner shall certify in the application that the owner or a resident manager will occupy the premises when the lodging is open for business. This information must be certified each year when renewing the business license. I don't think the Planning Commission needs to get involved in how many meals are served or what
It's
they
happened
serve.
3 times.
Pardon me?
It's happened 3 times.
Mr. Thomas?
the 2 examples that you gave, the woman who lives across the street and the people who are out of town, they would be covered under the existing, under these 2 existing paragraphs.
But that's the problem. I don't think it was ever the intent that you could live next door and be a manager of the business next to you. It was my understanding when this was changed to include adjoining, it was done for a specific B&B here in town that had multiple units and multiple buildings.
Well,
These are
but
2
this
contradictory
says
definitions.
not separated by a city street roadway. If she lives across the street, she's separated by a street.
Right.
So she's in violation of the current
Correct.
code.
But they're both also, they contradict one another. And we went to the municipal league on that. We've got one that says the owner resident shall occupy, and then we've got another one that says you can live next door and not be part of that property.
Where does it say you can live next door?
Shall be
Over to
defined as
on-site.
adjoining, i.e. sharing a boundary, and shall not include properties separated by a street, city roadway, green space, or alley, We've had people say that the guy that lives next door in the apartment complex is the manager.
Yeah.
Ms. Harmon?
I think for the purpose of this discussion, we're getting way into the weeds on too many things. The purpose of this discussion is to make sure that both of the definitions, both of the verbiage within the planning code book matches.
Exactly.
Because right now they don't. It's like having an apple and an orange right now. And we need to make it either an apple or an orange and just be done with it. Whether or not we agree with everything that's in it, I think they've done a good job on coming up with a definition that will be able to be used for years forward, but it also is consistent across the board within the code book.
Mr. Meyer?
I make a motion that we approve the changes that the Planning Commission has come up with.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Ms. Snyder?
I think they've done an excellent job combining them. I've hoped for years we could do this. I'm asking for a single, simple change while changes are being done. Instead of and meals, a meal. Drop 3 letters. That's it. And it stays the same, and this is perfect. What they've written up is excellent.
Do you want to put an amendment to Harry's motion?
Well, I'd already made a motion that got interrupted, so whatever. That's all I'm saying. I'm not asking for drastic changes. I'm asking for a meal instead of and meals. Melissa and I were on planning together when we've had the first big knockdown drag out about this. Let's just take care of it now so it doesn't happen again. It's that simple.
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, and on the flip side of that page is the 180-day rule waiver. If the business will not be open for more than 180 days, the owner must apply through the Board of Zoning Adjustment for a waiver of the 180. What are the stipulations there? There's nothing, I mean, is it just going to be an arbitrary, well, we like you, so okay, you can have an extension, or, well, I really don't like you, you can have one. But I don't get it. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
I can't answer that because I will tell you that the 180-day rule waiver and the on-site language was added by Glenna. So I can't answer that question. I do support changing the definition, I can tell you that.
Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I'm opposed to it, and simply because I'm hearing now that there are people violating the current definitions, but nothing's being done to them. So what's going to be the difference here?
Actually, Mr. Thomas, we tried last year to, maybe didn't go about it exactly the right way to get people into compliance, and it did get stopped. But I can tell you that we had several B&Bs that are now in compliance because of the letter we sent out.
Well,
So-
that's that requiring them to certify that they live there? Do you
That
really think?
that seems to be the problem. People do not want to certify that that is their residence. Maybe they have a residence somewhere out of state, and it's going to cause a problem. That seems to be the basis. They do not want to say, this is where I live, for whatever reason.
Well, and it doesn't, they don't have to. It says occupy this building.
We just want somebody living there when they have guests.
And that bothers me, simply because,
They're a B&B.
I know,
Yeah.
did you say Airbnb? or
No, they're a
they are
bed and
B&B?
breakfast,
Right.
correct.
But that bothers me because if an owner needs to, has to, want to go out of town for the weekend, he can't unless he has somebody that will move into his home and manage his business.
No,
That's-
that got
No.
No.
That got changed, Bob.
It does, it says that the owner or the resident will occupy the premises when the lodging is open for business.
Yeah. That's not 24/7.
Huh?
That's not 24, it's
No.
not 24/7.
No, that's not 24/7, but that says
Wait,
if I'm
come
open
on, we're
for...
getting,
No, I'd like to explain myself. That says if I'm open for business this weekend, I have to be there or a resident manager has to be there.
If you're going to do business, you have to be there.
no.
I don't believe that.